Tonight on Philly Sports Spotlight, it's game week as the Eagles and Pats practice side by side in South Philly in advance of Friday night's preseason opener at Lincoln Financial Field. And the Penn State football program may have lost some of its luster recently, but there's one tradition still very much alive. Also, with the Phillies struggling through a subpar season, area baseball fans may have found another way to help fill the void. And it was another public access practice for the Eagles and the fans at Lincoln Financial Field yesterday as the Birds honored the military. But even more important, a Monday practice before the team's preseason opener Friday night against the New England Patriots. Good evening. Welcome to Philly Sports Spotlight. I'm Phil Anderson, folks. We are now in full football mode. Now, earlier today, the Eagles held a joint practice with Bill Belichick and his Pats down in South Philadelphia and will do so again tomorrow. It's been a while since the Eagles have entertained another team during training camp. As a matter of fact, you actually have to go back to 1998, Ray Rhodes' last year as head coach, when the team held a scrimmage and two joint practices with the Buffalo Bills at Lehigh University. Now, in this week's case, one has to assume that Coach Kelly's relationship with Pats head coach Bill Belichick made this matchup an easy decision. Question is, how does it all work?
We'll be split for individual. We'll do all our team stuff in 7-on-7 and 1-on-1s against each other, but we'll be split for, the first portion of practice. I mean, they're individuals. Obviously, what they do and what we do are certainly different, so there's no reason for us to try to learn what they do or for them to learn what we do. So we'll be split for the first part of it, and then, basically 1-on-1, 7-on-7, and 11-on-11 will be against each other. We'll have multiple 7-on-7s is what we talked about, and then we'll do team on one field, but we'll do 7-on-7s and 1-on-1 at separate locations.
Now, believe it or not, Kelly has almost now implemented most of his offense. Question is, how much of it will we actually see in Friday night's exhibition game against the Pats?
So it's not, we're not going to have our entire offense game as a game plan for the Patriots. It'd be to select them out, because again, it's still really a big evaluation period for us, and it's live. There's officials, it's tackling, it's the whole 9 yards. You're getting a kind of a simulated run at a legitimate game. So we won't have such a vast array of plays in that we're handcuffing our guys, and they're out there thinking we need them to go out there and execute.
And so, with that in mind, how much of the offense have Michael Vick and Nick Foles retained so far?
I see them understanding better what we're doing. When really how camp works is you insert, and then you start going back to where you started inserting. So, you're repeating plays on today that we had put in on day one. So they're starting to get more familiar. You don't expect any of them on day one when you insert everything to know everything like that. So they're starting to get more familiar. The other thing you start to see is what they feel comfortable with. What type of plays are, Mike a little bit more comfortable with, what type of plays is Nick more comfortable with, and then you start to get a feel as they start to express themselves. A lot of conversations go on now. What do you like? Hey, if we're throwing drop back, what's your choices in drop back? What do you like? Because it really doesn't matter what we like as a coaching staff. It's what our players can execute. So the more we get a chance to get familiar with them and they get familiar with the entire offense, that's what you're starting to see. Things start to round into shape. Like, all right, he made the right decision on that again. He starts to feel, and is almost you're kind of looking at him as is the game slowing down for them. It's not kind of going crazy. And I think if you ask every one of them, I think the game is slowing down for them.
And what about rookie Matt Barkley?
First off with Matt, I think he brings a unique set of experiences because he was a 4-year starter in high school along with being a 4-year starter in college. Not a lot of guys have started for 8 straight years before they become a rookie in the NFL. So he's played a lot of football. He played at a great high school and had a great high school coach. It was a pretty advanced system he ran in high school, and obviously played in a real good system at USC. So I think he brings a wealth of experience, even though he is a rookie. The other thing with Matt that I love is he's a football junkie. He eats the game up. He lives it and breathes it, and he's in here early. He's always wanting to watch film, always wanting to get better. So I think to have a young guy that has that type of experience and then also match that with an insatiable taste for the game, I think it's a great combination. So he's been outstanding so far.
Now, for those fans who have not had a chance to actually get out to the link and watch some of those open to the public practices, we still have 3 more chances to do so. August 11th, August 17th, and August 26th. All you have to do is go onto the team's website, and the tickets, by the way, are free. So it's a good afternoon to go down there in South Philly and watch them practice with your family. Now, as far as who the Eagles starting quarterback will be for Friday night's exhibition game against New England, Coach Kelly expected to make that decision after Thursday's practice. Now, this past weekend, well, the Pro Football Hall of Fame welcomed 7 new inductees, including former Eagle Cris Carter. Former Eagle Cris Carter hauled in 1,101 receptions for 13,899 yards and 130 touchdowns during his 16-year career, while also recording 8 straight 1,000-yard seasons. Curly Culp, a defensive stalwart for 14 years with the Kansas City Chiefs and Houston Oilers, was a 6-time Pro Bowler and former NFL Defensive Player of the Year. Larry Allen, a member of the NFL's All-Decade teams of the 1990s and 2000s, earned first-team All-Pro honors 7 straight times in 14 seasons with the Dallas Cowboys and San Francisco 49ers. Big Jonathan Ogden, the first ever draft pick of the Baltimore Ravens, excelled 12 seasons as a strong pass protector and run blocker. In addition to 6 All-Pro teams, Ogden, an 11-time Pro Bowler, and selected to the NFL's All-Decade team in the 2000s. South Jersey native Dave Robinson, a vital cog in Vince Lombardi's tough Green Bay Packers defenses, earned first-team All-NFL acclaim 3 times and was voted to the NFL's All-Decade team of the 1960s. Warren Sapp recorded 96.5 sacks during his career with the Buccaneers and Raiders. Named All-Pro 4 times, voted to 7 Pro Bowls, and selected to the NFL's All-Decade teams of the 1990s and 2000s. And last but certainly not least, Bill Parcells, who turned around the fortunes of 4 different franchises and today remains the only coach to lead 4 different teams to the playoffs. Overall, he won 183 games, including a pair of Super Bowl victories. By the way, quick story about Bill Parcells. When he called his mom to tell her that the Giants were naming him their new head coach to replace outgoing Ray Perkins, Parcells' mom responded by saying, "When are you going to get a real job like your brother, the banker?" That's a true story, believe it or not. All right, now time for this week's Philly Sports Spotlight Trivia question. With the induction of Cris Carter, how many former Eagles are now enshrined in Canton? The answer coming up a little bit later on in the show. Also still to come, a trip to Happy Valley to take a look at a long-standing tradition at Linebacker U.